Okay. Yeah, I could go anywhere I want. Okay, but it's really big. And I don't have the space. Oh, hey guys, I'm Alex. Thanks for clicking, and welcome to this lesson on common word pairs, specifically common noun and noun pairs. So before, I started this, I was looking at my phone because I'm trying to think about the pros and cons of buying a hot air balloon. And I'm not really sure whether I want it or not. So I'm trying to weigh the pluses and the minuses, the pros and the cons. Speaking of pros and cons, pluses and minuses, this is the first word pair in our noun and noun set. So pros and cons, pluses and minuses basically mean the advantages and disadvantages of something. What are the pros and cons? When you're buying something, you're thinking about the pluses and the minuses of this thing, the pros and the cons of this thing. When you make an important life decision, you also have to weigh the pros, the pluses, and the cons, the minuses. Okay? So these are the benefits or the disadvantages of something. Next, odds and ends. So odds and ends, that box is full of odds and ends. Let me show you. Come here, come here. Okay, so I got an eraser, got a stapler, there's a remote of some kind. I think these are bubbles, Superman bubbles, marker, cloth. So these things are not really related, but I don't have a box in my house or a drawer in my house just for erasers or just for markers or just for staplers. So the odds and ends of something usually just refer to the random pieces, the random articles, the junk, the miscellaneous junk. So that box is full of odds and ends. So I'm just going to put random stuff or random junk. Basically, things you don't have a set place for in your house, so you just put it in one area. Yeah, the batteries, the paper clips, the tape, the pencils, odds and ends, just random stuff. All right, ups and downs. They've had a lot of ups and downs. I think you can tell what this means. It basically means they've had a lot of good times and a lot of bad times. So good times and bad times. Good times and bad times. Now this can refer to, you can use it in many contexts, specifically the most common being when you talk about relationships. Also, you can talk about a company's history. So the company has experienced many ups and downs. Their relationship has gone through ups and downs. So good times and bad times. Next, peace and quiet. So these commonly go together. We could all use a little more peace and quiet. So if you know the meaning of peace, you know the meaning of quiet, you just know this means a period of calm. Okay, so I love peace and quiet. I need peace and quiet. I want peace and quiet. So basically, let's just say calmness. Something, a period of calm, a period of calm. Trial and error. So here, we went through a long trial and error process. So if you are working in a company and your company gives you a project and they want you to find out the pros and cons of doing something, and they go through a long experimentation process with whatever they're working on. So some things work, some things don't work. Or if you're trying to create, let's say, a specific type of machine or a robot, but you don't know what happens if you do one thing or if you do another thing. So trial means to try or experiment, and error to make mistakes. So this is a long process where you do experiments and you make many mistakes before you find the final solution. You find what works. So trial and error always refers to some kind of process where you're experimenting with solutions. Experimentation process. Okay. So just like when you're learning English, sometimes you just have to try speaking if you're speaking with a native speaker and you're not sure if you're using the correct verb form or if you're using the correct noun form. You're kind of going through a trial and error process, and maybe your friend says, no, don't say it is danger, say it is dangerous. Ah, now I know, it is dangerous, not it is danger, okay? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I said we're doing 10 of these. Wow. Okay, so come with me, come on. All right, cool. So next we have supply and demand. So we have a supply and demand problem. This is a term that is frequently used in economics. And basically, your supply is how much you have of something. So for example, if a company produces, let's say a video game company produces 1 million copies of a video game, they have a supply of 1 million copies, or their inventory has 1 million. Demand is, do people want 1 million copies? So let's say a company produces 1 million copies of the video game, they release the video game, and only 100,000 copies get sold. Okay, well, there's a supply and demand problem there. We have too much supply and not enough demand. So we made 900,000 extra copies. We spent money on 900,000 extra copies. The other part of that is sometimes you have a lot of demand for something, but not enough supply. So in 2016, going back to video games, Nintendo released the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic. It was this little classic video game system, and everyone said, "Oh my God, I must have that." And unfortunately, Nintendo didn't make a lot of these. So people wanted it, but when they went to the store, usually it was gone. There's a supply and demand problem there. When you have a lot of demand, you can charge more money for something too. Anyway, supply and demand. Okay, it refers to economics. Fun and games. Life is not just fun and games. You think life is all about fun and games. So fun and games just mean to have a good time, is about pleasure. So fun and games, pleasure, we'll put. Having a good time. Usually you use this, combination when you are talking about or you want to comment on something negative. So you say life is not just fun and games. All you want to do is have fun and games when you are criticizing someone. So this is the most common context where you would use this. And typically, life is not just fun and games. Very common phrase that you might hear. Next, cause and effect. Why is this happening? We need to figure out the cause and effect. So we need to figure out, what the reason for this and the result of this. So the reason plus result. Okay, so this is often in philosophy, people talk about cause and effect. And let's say that you punched me in the face. Now, why did you punch me? What is the cause of you punching me? Is it because I said something? Is it because you felt angry at me? The effect, what is the effect of you punching me? Did I lose my teeth? Do I have a bruise? I don't know. So the cause and effect. We need to know the cause and effect of this situation. Wait, what's the cause and effect here? Next, flesh and blood. You're my own flesh and blood. So usually you will hear that kind of line in like a gangster movie or maybe in The Godfather. Usually it refers to family. So your own, let's say my own flesh and blood. This refers to family. Okay, so your flesh is like the meaty part of your skin, and your blood is inside, the red, actually blue, dark bluish thing that's inside your veins. So if you are, he's a flesh and blood human being, all human beings are flesh and blood, but sometimes we emphasize saying he's a real flesh and blood human being. It can mean family, or it can simply mean human. So if you read science fiction and there are robots, for example, say, no, he's not flesh and blood, he's a robot, okay? So finally, just for fun, because I like them, fish and chips. I think you guys probably know what this is. After 9 of these expressions, of these combinations, I thought maybe we could just do something nice and easy and fun. Fish and chips, a very popular dish. I like to have it for lunch sometimes, and sometimes dinner, if you are in the UK. So basically, fish, chips, known as French fries or fries, depending on which part of the world you're from. But even if you come to Canada, for example, if you say, I want fish and chips, people know you mean fish and fries. So even in the States, if you go to the US, the United States, people know what fish and chips are as well. So don't be afraid. Don't think that it's only used in England or only in parts of the UK. People on this side of the water know what fish and chips are too. All right, so those were 10 noun and noun combinations. You may be wondering, Alex, how do I use this? Or why am I learning this? Well, let me tell you. So number 1, knowing this kind of stuff obviously can improve your comprehension, whether you're watching movies, whether you're having a conversation. And when you can recognize, whether in print, if you're reading, or when you're listening in a conversation, you need to know, what people are referring to. What are the common phrases in a language? Number 2, you can use them yourself, so you sound more natural, like a native speaker of the language. If you're not sure, and still not sure about these phrases, make sure to watch the video again. And after you feel more comfortable and you feel pretty sure you know how to use them, don't forget to check out the quiz on engvid.com. So also, don't forget to subscribe to my Facebook, check me out on Twitter, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, thanks for clicking. Bye.